Hey guys! Welcome back to a brand new Fortnite Chapter 2 Creative Mechanic. I hope you guys have been enjoying this new chapter, but now it's time for a brand new original tutorial. And today I'd like to introduce you guys to crafting. Okay, to start off, we're going to make a one recipe crafting mechanic. As in most cases and maps, that'll be enough. So that's what we're going to be focusing on in this video today. If you need a multi-recipe crafting system with a browse feature, stay tuned for a part 2 of this mechanic coming very soon. I'm splitting this up because I want to properly explain it part by part, without making it too overcomplicated for the majority of the maps that only need one crafting recipe. And what better way to explain crafting than on an actual Minecraft crafting table that I made. Look at this beauty. If you guys want me to make a Minecraft Fortnite crafting or puzzle map, just let me know in the comments below and I'll get working on it. Since this mechanic is inspired by Minecraft, let's follow this trend and set up a crafting recipe to make a diamond sword. Then later in the video, I'll show you a different invented recipe for a bandage bazooka. But you can invent any recipe you want by using any combination of other items. So the first thing we'll need is the new conditional button. This item works similar to the normal button we have, but requires you to have a specific item in your inventory before it is enabled. When you drop an item on this button, it will absorb it, and this will be the item that is required. So we know that a sword is made from wooden sticks and 2 diamonds. And that's the recipe we're going to set up first. So grab 3 conditional buttons and throw them down. Then align them or position them where you want. I'm going to place them on my crafting table in the middle column, just like the original Minecraft recipe. Then in the bottom one, we're going to drop some wood, and to represent the diamonds, let's take shield bubbles. It's blue just like the diamonds and has the little thingy in the middle that kinda looks like a diamond, so that'll work. Then go in the options for the button and change the disable after use to yes. Leave the key items required to 1 for this recipe and make sure the consume key items is set to yes. This is to make sure that the items are removed from our inventory when we're making this recipe. Then scroll down to the very last option and set the when activated transmit on to channel 1. Now do the same for all your other buttons. Actually, you can also copy and paste these buttons and that will actually keep their settings and options, so it might be easier to do it that way. Now that we have our buttons set up, take a trigger and throw it down somewhere outside of your map. The first thing we'll change in this trigger is the transmit every X triggers. And for this mechanic, we have to set it to the amount of individual pieces, or better said, conditional buttons, we have for our recipe. Since this recipe consists of 1 wood and 2 shield bubbles, we have to set this to 3. Then scroll down and set the trigger when receiving from to channel 1, and the when triggered transmit on to channel 2. So what exactly happens now? We have 3 buttons. Every button can only be pressed once because it will disable after it is used. And every time a button is pressed, it transmits to this trigger. When all 3 buttons have been pressed, meaning the recipe is correctly formed, the trigger hits its 3rd transmit and will send a new signal on channel 2. Now all that is left to do for us is throw down an item spawner that will generate this sword we made. Set the time before first spawn to instant, the visible during games to off, and the enabled on game start to no. And then finally, set the enable when receiving from to channel 2. Now take an infinity blade and drop it in there. Now all that is left for us to do is set up another item spawner that will supply us with our items needed to craft, so that we can demo this. I'll do this right next to my spawn pad just to demo it. When we start the game and we go over to our crafting table, you can see that every time I press a button, that item disappears from my inventory. So first the wood, now a shield bubble, and when I press this last button, our recipe is complete and the infinity blade spawns. Now there's 2 more small issues that we have to fix. When I pick up my sword, you can see it respawns. So back to editing mode. Go to your item spawner and set the when item picked up when receiving from channel. This means that when we pick up the sword, it gets disabled again. And only by following our crafting recipe another time will we enable it again. Now the second issue we have is our crafting recipe is still disabled. since the buttons were disabled as soon as we pressed them. So go in the options and set the enable when receiving from to channel 2, meaning that only when we completed our full recipe, all the buttons will be enabled again and we can recraft it. Okay, time to start playing around with this a little bit more. Let's make a bandage bazooka now. So same concept, take our conditional buttons with the same options as before and align them how you want. I'm going to say a gray RPG on the left, some rockets in the middle, and then around these rockets, some bandages. Now in total we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 conditional buttons. So go to our trigger, change the transmit every X triggers to 7, and lastly, set up our item spawner to spawn a bandage bazooka. Another way you can do this is to have 5 bandages bound to 1 conditional button. For that, just go in the button settings and change the key items required to 5. Then adjust your trigger again, since the amount of buttons we have is now reduced to 3. Now go out there and set up any creative crafting recipe you want. I can't wait to see what you guys make with this mechanic. And if you enjoyed this new video, then please subscribe. Stay tuned for a lot more awesome new mechanics and content. A multi-recipe crafting expansion mechanic on this is coming as well. And thank you so much to everyone for the insane support I've been receiving lately. I'll see you guys soon.